This instrument is super evocative. It's extraordinary. You start playing it and you don't really want to stop playing it. It kind of leads you into this kind of hypnagogic state, which is quite beautiful. I mean, this comes out of, in a way, just spending years in recording studios, working with singers and instrumentalists, and thinking there's a sort of category of sounds which is super magical, but we don't often get to experience in isolation, which is all these tiny sounds which you can capture with close miking techniques. So focusing on the lower dynamics, it's in a way the musical equivalent of somebody kind of whispering in your ear. So yeah, that's how ASMR Choir was born, really, this idea to kind of inhabit that world. This collection is 4 separate instruments. And this is a small choir of specialists in Renaissance music and early music. So they have a very pure sound, by which I mean hardly any vibrato or no vibrato. Amazing breath control, and they are really specialized in singing this sort of polyphonic long lines that you get in Renaissance music. Also part of this is Grace Davidson. Grace and I have worked together for years and years. She is the solo vocalist in Sleep, and she's my kind of dream singer, if you like. Recorded at the same time was a tiny string section, solo violin, solo cello. We decided to do that because we felt it'd be interesting to have a kind of live interplay in the room. Our musicians are very good at listening to one another and sort of talking to one another in terms of the inflections and the little dynamic shapes they make. So if you have a few more people in the room, it can be a bit more of a lively situation. Some of the stuff in these instruments is pretty wild, you know. There's lots of like plosives and weird kind of random stuff in there. And I think it's full spectrum human beings, right? It's kind of all our messy selves in every version of ourselves are represented in the instrument, and I love that about it. You know, a lot of this material is deliberately microtonally related to absolute pitch. So it has a kind of a purity within its own terms, but there's a kind of a liveliness in terms of the tuning. So some of these things you sort of feel you might want to center them a bit, or rather a bit more. So therefore the synth voice was recorded back into the room and reamped, and then recorded through the same mic setup. So actually it sort of matches very beautifully color-wise with the acoustic instruments. And then you have a vocoded or processed instrument, which leans heavily on the analog vocoders. It's just a texture I love. We used a lot of vocoded orchestra in a recent score, Spaceman, so it kind of made me think, this is a lovely color, let's sort of do something with this. That's a banger, that one.